Hello.
Hello.
So please introduce yourself.
My name is Greg Atkin, and I am your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your background and your life. You're an artist, correct?
Yes, but we met when we were in middle school, and we were doing a show together, which ended up being one of my life's passions. And I did that for many years as a career as an actor, and I worked all over, and it was very informative, but it wasn't very fulfilling in the ways that it needed to be for me. So now I'm working in a completely different space, and that'll be a wonderful new journey. But I'm here to talk about what I love about film, and that's because film is, regardless of what I'm doing in my life, there's always something to watch. And I think the plenty of that, it always drives me to want to watch more. And more obscure and more odd things sometimes. But I really do love film.
Perfect. So earlier I asked you, what is your favorite film? But we discussed that as a very open-ended question.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me any and all interpretations you have of that question?
That's a great way to put it. I think that favorite is hard for me just because there's so many elements to favorite that are uncomfy when you're trying to rank them versus how I feel the next day or the 10 minutes later. So at the moment, I'd say my favorite movie in terms of watching, I could just watch it over and over and over again, is Clue, the 1980s movies.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And Tim Curry's so good.
Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Leanne Moore. It is such a stacked cast, and the choices that everyone makes when they're doing some insane things. The way that woman who plays Mrs. White, not Mrs. White, Mrs. Peacock, the one who's well, this is delightful. The way she falls in love with the food that's being made, which we then later learn is monkey's brains. Lovely. A movie that I tell people, if you want to understand me, this is what you should watch. I often say something like Fantasia. That's one of my favorite. I can not get enough of Fantasia.
Disney Fantasia, Mickey Mouse, 1940s. Wow. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I thrive on that. And then I have a weird obsession with old movies. I don't mean old. I mean golden era. Okay. So everything from Wizard of Oz, which I eventually soured on because once I'm in the show, this is something that happens when you're a performer. I think for me anyway, it has soured me on ever seeing it or interacting with it again. So after I did Wizard of Oz, I was I played the Cowardly Lion, and I was I'm never doing this again. This is, I hate watching this now. But I loved that. I loved Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. I liked Some Like It Hot. I liked White Christmas. It was these very classic, big films. And surprisingly, also Top Hat and 42nd Street. Two films I also loved. Ginger Rogers, she had my heart. I love that woman. She was one of my first divas, actually.
I have her biography right there on my shelf.
Well,
Backwards
look at
and Heels. Look at
that. Exactly. That's why she's incredible. And then if we're talking about documentaries, that if you that for me is Paris is Burning is I think one of the best documentaries to ever happen. I narrative fiction, something like a classic award-winning kind of thing. Lincoln. I love Lincoln. It's a very strange film, but it's a very engaging film for me.
And you are very presidential.
I like that they take that view of the presidency. It's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, interesting.
And the way that because it's a 2.5 hour movie, almost 3 hours long, and the way they build it, and I watched it recently over the summer actually, because it's just one of those movies you can put that I can just put on. I can just put on Lincoln and wander about the house doing whatever I want because it's so long. I know it's going to happen, and it takes forever for things to happen anyway. So it's very. I'm sorry, something in my nose.
Do you need a little tissue or something?
I need some water. Okay, good. Okay, so. So that's documentary, narrative fiction. When it comes to lighthearted comedies, I'm a harsh critic of lighthearted comedies because I think comedies are really hard, and if you do it really good, you make me laugh no matter what. And Melissa McCarthy makes me laugh.
Oh my God,
no
love
matter
her.
what. So basically, any movie that Melissa McCarthy plays a titular role in, I am a fan of.
Love her.
And I'm now blanking on so many movies that, like, I love. I call them, like, I fangirl over certain movies. Like The Color Purple. I fangirl over The Color Purple. I only watch that when I'm like, I desperately need to cry. Then I need to put on The Color Purple. In a good, healthy, cathartic way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, that's me with most film. And then, like, gay cult classics. Legally Blonde, that's another huge... I love Legally Blonde. I know it a little too much, but actually I really love Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Fabulous. That's the real marrow in that bone. Same thing with Sister Act. Sister Act was good, but Sister Act 2, way better.
Classics of our childhood. That's what you're talking about here.
Yeah. Hocus Pocus is a fantastic film because it so encapsulated a society, a specific point in time. And now, that's when they redid it. That's why it sucks. Because it doesn't stand for it doesn't mean anything. It's almost empty and shallow husk of what it used to be. And that's why I'm like, all these sequels are not very good, just because they're all trying to capture what happened organically, and they're just not doing that. They're not putting out new stories. I mean, people are. That's an unfair generalization, but, like, it's important. I wish they would do that, because that's what I love about those films. Like, and I love Free Willy. Free Willy is a fantastic film.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic film because it to a 13-year-old, it's exactly what you need. And Michael Jackson singing all his face off. So, like, when it comes to favorites, I have plenty. And it really depends also on the mood. Like, this is not... it's not film, but there are certain TV shows that I can only watch when I'm in a good mood.
Right.
Because I won't enjoy them any other way.
Great. Well, wonderful, elaborative answer.
I tend to do those.
I know. Well, earlier, I mean, we brought up a good point that what's your favorite movie is a really difficult question. Because when you're a film person, when people realize that you like film, you study film, that's always what they want to ask. What's your favorite movie? And I'm like, well, that's really not a very specific question.
It's almost impossible to answer.
Yeah.
Because if you were to ask me 10 minutes later, I'm like, well, now I guess it'd be this. And then if you ask me and I'm really sad, I'd be like, well, I have a very specific answer for you right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like Titanic, but I do like the Poseidon Adventure. I think that's a new dichotomy I found in film. Either you're a Titanic person or a Poseidon Adventure person.
Interesting. I also think, our favorite movies evolve throughout our lives. So, like, at a certain age, you might have had a very specific movie, but then later you might not,
I didn't even talk about animated movies. I'm so sorry. But, like, that's not important, but you're so right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. We kind of brush over the little things that people get swept aside. And in doing that, we miss whole wonderful films. That's how I learned about Studio Ghibli, was people were like, there's this weird Japanese person. I'm like, fantastic, sure, let me try it. I love it. I'm such a Ghibli fan. So, like, that's also one of my favorite films. My Neighbor Totoro is one of my favorite movies. I can comfort watch that till death. I can watch Spirited Away till death. I can watch, there's some fantastic Ghibli films. Now, some of them are weird and long and scary and upsetting. But some of them are pieces of, like, living masterpieces. They're incredible. So it was a quick divergent from what you were talking about. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Because what I'm learning is that people apologize too much in society. I've been scolded for apologizing too much. So, don't be sorry for talking to me about movies you love on my movies-themed blog.
Okay.
So don't worry about it.
Okay, that's no problem with me.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, the thing I love about most good film, and the thing we've talked about before, is when it's clear the story, when it's a simple story that's being told, and it's being told effectively with beautiful other things. What was that movie with Daniel Day-Lewis and the woman that tried to kill him? And
Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread. I have not stopped thinking about that movie since we watched it.
It was beautiful.
It was stunning. The way that, like, the clothes looked, everything down to all of the food details. Everything was so
good,
sensual. For a blah movie, it was a fine movie, but it wasn't, like, earth-shattering. And so it's incredible. That's another one of those films. I'm like, I wish more movies were like that.
Visually stunning. Totally. Yes.
I love, like, when a movie is, like, really aware of how beautiful it can be. Yeah.
I watched the new and original Death on the Niles recently.
I watched the Death on the Nile. I did not see the original.
They're both very good, but the new one is especially visually captivating.
Yes, I can tell. I can often tell with the new movies. Have you seen the Moon Knight?
The Moon Knight.
It's on Marvel. It's the Marvel.
No.
It's a guy who becomes the Egyptian god of protection or something. I'm not sure. And it's not really important, but he interacts with all these gods, and it's set in ancient Egypt, but also the modern day. It's really interesting, and it's a short series. It's only 10 episodes, so it's like a short. Like, are we considering a film? Like, could I consider a short series film?
Sure.
Like, Paul Giamatti in Adams, the story of John Adams. Good, yeah. Like him, but more Laura Linney. More than him. Like that kind of thing is, that's part of it. Like I both love big stuff and I love small stuff, and I love really small things like stuff on like individual TV shows.
Yeah.
Sorry,
wonderful.
I'm rambling.
Don't be sorry, and you're not rambling. And I do love a good miniseries. There's been many a miniseries that have shaped my identity and film identity. So I understand that. So as you know, kind of the skeleton of my blog is the National Film Registry.
Yes.
Although I talk about lots of film and other things I find interesting. But the NFR is kind of what holds it together. So how familiar are you with the National Film Registry?
I knew it existed, but that's about it.
Okay. Well, you've learned a little bit more about it through me,
yes,
which is cool.
Yeah, it's been interesting to know that it exists. I'm glad it exists. I would be fascinated to know its process, but it's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, so based on what you know about it, what film or films, multiple, do you think should be inducted into the registry? If you can think of any that are already on it, I'll let you know.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I don't. Ooh. The Party. I know that's like...
Oh, I've been meaning to see that. I still haven't seen that. I haven't been able to find it streaming anywhere.
It's on Prime.
Okay, so maybe we'll watch that later.
That'd be a good idea. I would watch that again. It is okay. So, the way it was described was it's a caviar black comedy. And it does that so well. It is so depressing. It is such a tragic story.
The Party we watched at BRC.
You fell asleep. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. She fell asleep.
Because I was very tired. I had been working. I was really tired. It's a great movie. I remember.
It was only an hour.
I just haven't been able
minutes.
to watch the whole thing. Okay. I know it's great.
Yeah. And I think it's so good. It should be in the film registry.
Yes.
So.
That's a wonderful, valid answer. I know. I was just very tired.
It's okay.
I remember it being very good.
It's very... Patricia Clarkson is one of the most wickedly talented people I've ever seen on screen.
She's very good.
And it's kind of arresting to see her do it so easily. Where even as an actor, I'm like, oh my God, how did you do that so casually? How did you make that look like it was just easy? It was just so easy for you. It looked so easy, and that's probably due to a million things I'm not aware of. But she makes it look fun.
So now, why do you think that belongs on the registry? Because I don't know how familiar you are, but the criteria for the registry is that films need to be proven as historically, culturally, and or aesthetically significant to American culture.
Wonderful.
So how do you feel like The Party fits into that? Why do you think it deserves to be preserved in a collection?
Well, I think it's English, so I don't think it qualifies.
Well, they do foreign films sometimes, but American films take precedent.
Makes sense. I think this would definitely be a left-hand pick, but that's not surprising for me. It's so American politics of the early 21st century are really messed up, and they're quite venomous. And it's nowhere that we actually get to see because it's so long-lasting. In this film, it goes very quickly. The things happen very quick. When things start happening, things start happening. And people are reacting in real time, and it's a really incredible, almost, it's so simple. And that's what I love about really good film, is that it's not trying too hard.
Ooh, yeah.
It's very simple. And there's no crazy effects, there's no stupid storyline, there's no gratuitous violence or sex. It's all about what the story is trying to be said. And in doing so, it loses probably like 90% of people. Because it's not what you'd expect from this weird story about the British, clearly Prime Minister, becoming the Prime Minister. It's like the night before she becomes the Prime Minister. And the things that happen before this woman, who's supposed to play this ideal of perfection and togetherness, as we've all seen the past 7 years, has really fallen apart. So when I look at it in context, I'm like, wow, before 2016, people really did think highly of themselves, didn't they? And it's like a point in time. It captures a point in time very well.
Nice.
I think I can make an argument for you.
Cool. All right. So let me consult my questions here to see what else I wanted to say. Okay, great. Did not lose our recording. Fantastic. Okay. Well, great answer. So, based on your familiarity with the NFR, do you know of any films that are currently on the list that you're happy about that they're on there, that you think they deserve that spot, or?
I wouldn't know if it was on the film registry if someone put it in my face. So
I do have it printed. I could put it in your face.
You should.
But I won't.
You should.
Well, you mentioned Paris is Burning, which is on the list.
Oh, good. That's wonderful. I mean, sure. Do they have, like, what is the criteria? I don't know.
So the Librarian of Congress makes the ultimate decisions every year.
This is for the country.
Yeah, it's run by the Library of Congress.
I see.
So there is a team. I don't know if that's what they're called, but yeah, a team essentially, who work together to work through all the nominations, and the Librarian of Congress makes the final decisions. Mm-hmm. But anyone can nominate films. So right now you could go on the website and nominate some if you want. I think it's like either 50 or 100 films max you can nominate every year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So anyone can go on and do that. So that means that this poor team of people has to weed through all these nominations every year.
My goodness.
And narrow it down. But yeah, there's lots and lots of films out there, and there are a lot of nominations. If you go on the website for Library of Congress, they have a great page called Films Not Yet Inducted into the NFR, so it can give you a lot of choices there. So if you're having trouble thinking of things to nominate, you can take a look at that. But that can also be a little addicting, because you're like, oh, I think this deserves to be on, this deserves to be on. You end up with hundreds.
Go. Yeah, I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would expect that if there's anything on there that I'd be, like, shocked by. Is there anything that's, like, overtly, like, inappropriate? Like, is there anything, like, not, like, Deep Throat, but...
A Deep Throat is not on there. I believe that might be listed on their page of films not yet inducted. I was just thinking that, how I was wondering if any porn films are on there. I don't believe so. I think there should be, probably.
I don't think specifically that. I'm just thinking more alternative things. Yeah. Like, is Grey Gardens on there?
It is on there.
Okay, well then there you go. I'm pretty sure my understanding of film, especially when it comes to American film, is a little more stupidly mainstream. So when it comes to the more complex and interesting pieces, I get a little apprehensive, because I'm like, well, I didn't really like August Osage County.
Okay.
I like the play. I didn't like the movie. I really like Into the Woods, the musical. I did not like the movie. And, like, I don't like most musical adaptations, because they just try to take the musical and put it on in the movie rather than telling the story of the musical.
Sure.
I think if they just focused, I just feel like no one's doing the obvious thing of just telling the story. They're trying to show me you could buy the package right now. And it's like, that's too much. You're trying too hard. And in doing so, you're making me very distasteful, which is why I love accidental classics. Like Hook, I don't think people realized that Hook was going to be this like massive phenomenon, but it shaped so much of our childhood. Same thing with Jumanji. Same things with a lot. Even Fern Gully. This all includes Robin Williams, by the way.
I know,
and it's surprisingly how much that man is a part of my childhood. Also, a very formative person who caused me to start acting. I mean, the films that would be into that I would hope that are being inducted are all based in that every American go, oh, I know that. And not because it's good or bad, but they know it. Like Die Hard is probably going to be on that list someday.
I think it is, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it might already be.
Right? I can see people doing it for so many films that they're desperate about. And people are desperate about certain films. Like, if you don't say you love, what is it, Big Lebowski? I still haven't seen The Big Lebowski. Yep. Right? And these are supposed to be classics. And I'm like, okay, great. If it's that good, I'll see it eventually. And I'm still working my way. And there's like, I've also realized, like, I didn't see Dirty Dancing until I was like 20.
And I made you watch it?
No.
Oh, you saw it before then. I did make you watch it another time.
Yeah. Oh, no, you made me watch it several times. Maybe it was with you. Wait. Was that recently?
I made you watch it when we attempted to do our podcast, which would have been great. But
oh, yeah. That was the first time I watched it.
Really?
That's a lie. I lied. Erase my lies. Yeah, so that you I guess you're the first person that introduced me into that, and like I see things a little bit late because I don't want to be taken over by the hype. Like I saw Titanic after everyone told me it was wonderful, and I was like, "This is supposed to be wonderful." It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah,
and the same thing with the opposite was true for something like. I can't remember these. Oh, pardon. Encanto. I watched Encanto 5 times. I rarely watch movies more than once. I watched it 5 times within 3 weeks. I thought it was that good of a movie. I just couldn't get over the animation, the music, the choices, the challenges, the Disney of it all. I love Disney films. And so it was like visual is so beautiful, and the visual arts are so beautiful, and when they're done well, whether that be a very tense scene or and this is my only complaint as a person who watches things, I am so over the slowing down of the world when things are getting too much for someone in something. Like, when someone's having a moment and you're supposed to know they're having a moment, and it goes like and then people are like I don't want that anymore. I would love something else, please. Something like a different representation of the same thing. But I think we can do something. I would love to see some different attempts, different stories, being different styles. Not anything wrong with the ones that are doing now. Yeah.
Well, for the record, I love your phrase accidental classics.
Oh, yeah.
I think that I should use that for something.
Oh, totally.
And also, I do nominate Hook every year when I nominate my films for the National Film Registry. So I will continue to nominate it until it's inducted.
As you should.
Cough, cough, Library of Congress. So, yeah, I agree. Well, also, a lot of... so, with the registry... I think there's a misconception. A lot of people kind of think it's like pop culture things. Like when they hear it has to be historically, aesthetically significant. It's not really about that. It's also like important moments in history that are documented on film. Like, for example, I discovered recently, a few years ago, I think it was, they inducted Negro Kiss. I would never use the word Negro, but that's the title of the film. Negro Kiss, which is the first time 2 Black people kissed on film. So that was very important. I'm sure most people have not heard of that film, but it's important and it exists. And so therefore it's on the list. So there's a lot of quote unquote obscure things that people haven't really heard of, but they make a point of saying this was an important moment for certain people.
But based on that, then, part of me says that, like, I mean, part of the reason I wish, like, I don't know, like, all of those... home video tapes. We were like, oh yeah, you're in our neighborhood now, baby. Work it out, Miss Thing. Like, I don't know. It was very 80s. It's like, not Paris is Burning, but similar. There was similar things happening.
Yeah.
In other places, like, so there's the trilogy of drag things. There's Tu Wong Fu.
Ooh,
there's Birdcage, and there's one across the country, continent of Australia.
I don't know.
Oh, come on. Oh, damn it.
For the record, I don't know if any of these are on the list, but I would have to check. I feel like they've been nominated, but I don't know. Because I don't have the list memorized.
Patrick Swayze plays a drag queen, and more than anything, he's so good. And he's so good in it. When his wig is snatched off, what a moment! I snatched my wig off, and they're in Strawberry. They make Strawberry for Kansas. That's amazing. We love that. I don't ever want to go to Kansas. I drove to and from Colorado back to the East Coast, and I skipped Kansas both times for a reason. I can't stand Kansas. What was I saying? I'm sorry. So the movie is a shoe. It has a shoe on the. I can see every other element except for the name. I want to call it the Divine Miss M, and that's not what. That's Bette Midler's name. I don't know why I keep coming up with that. Also, Bette Midler's incredible. I love her both in real life and animated. She was the dog in Oliver Twist, the dog version.
Really?
And she does that amazing opening number that I still watch to this day as an inspiration song.
Oliver Twist, Oliver and Company?
Yes.
Where Oliver's a little orange kitten?
Yes.
Oh, I used to watch that.
It's a great one, right?
Yeah. That's a very obscure Disney one. I think a lot of people haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of these like Disney classics that I think are classics, but I think they're only classics to me.
Yeah. Well, I heard a very interesting quote by Steve Martin, I think it was, who said every film is a cult film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's right. Every film is significant to someone.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's not a big hit.
The Barbie movies have a surprisingly large fan base. And I know I've never seen a single Barbie movie, but I know that people are like obsessed. There's like a whole community of people who love the My Little Pony movies.
Yes, yeah. And Hello Kitty is a huge icon.
And Hello Kitty. And Pokemon. And I mean, like, it makes total sense. Pokemon movie. That was also a fantastic film. Way too good for a movie about Pokemon.
Are you excited about the new live action Barbie movie coming out soon with
yes.
Margot Robbie?
Did you see the new trailer for it?
I did. It looks good.
Incredible. To use the same concept of whatever
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
and
brilliant.
To do that with woman who is so unattainably beautiful. And that's exactly what Barbie is. Yeah. And I think she's going to do a great job. Plus, they're not taking it too seriously.
Yeah, because it's Barbie. Like, it has to be self-aware.
And it's so good because Greta Gerwig's a great director. And I love what she's going to... I'm sure I'm going to love it.
She's a very good director.
I don't know why they're trying to push that, like... It's a little too Barbie-ish. It's like halfway between one of the Barbie movies and... Legally Blonde, it seems.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm not sure. I haven't seen it yet. I would love to see it. I can't wait to see it. I'm just a little apprehensive as I am before most movies.
Yeah.
Especially when they're overly hyped.
Yeah. It is difficult when things are overly hyped.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard to separate your own opinion from public opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I hated Les Mis long before everybody said they hated Les Mis. So I had to wait until everybody else said they hated Les Mis. Because if I said it, I came off as an asshole. Because when you're in the theater and you're talking about a theater thing and you don't like it, it's because you're jealous for some reason. Even if it's just like, well, I just don't like it. What if I just don't like it? And it bothers me because I have to watch. Everybody's going to be like, oh my God, have you seen? And then all these questions about it. For 2 years, people would be like, oh, do you want to be a Les Mis? I'm like, no, I don't like Les Mis. Les Mis is a terrible show. Sorry, that was a little rant.
That's fine.
You can have that rant. It's a rant for you. Most of our friendship. That's a rant for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I'll stop talking now.
You think what?
No, I think, I can't remember. It failed.
Well, so... You said you weren't super familiar with the NFR, which is fine. I mean, that's what I'm here for. So the current Librarian of Congress, Carla Hardin, is the first Black person and first woman to have the position of Librarian of Congress. Yep.
Wonderful.
Applause. Before her, there was one other person of color who was an Asian man.
Oh.
Right before her, who handed off his title. Everyone before that was a white man.
Of course.
Obviously. So since Carla has taken the crown, as I like to call it, she has made a real effort to include movies on the list that are by people of color and women and queer. I don't love the phrase LGBTQIA. It's just too many letters. So I say queer just because I think it's a little bit more concise.
And it works better.
Thank you. Okay. So she has made a real effort to include people, like just more different kinds of people on the list, which I think is great. So more directors, more women written films, just lots of things, So I'm glad that you have kind of inadvertently covered a lot of that in your talk, because you mentioned Paris is Burning and a lot of kind of queer iconic films, which is wonderful. So now that you have that little bit more of information, knowing that there were not very many films that had a lot of inclusivity before recently, how do you feel about that now that the librarian is trying to add a bit more inclusivity to the list?
Well, yay for a librarian who has some actual lived experience other than the one that's oversampled. I mean, that's great that someone is being seen as a steward of the voices unseen and unheard. That's exactly what you want in that kind of position, and I wish her the best. And that's all I can say to that. But to what do I think we can do about film to make it, or the inclusion of historical film to be broader? I mean, the whole point of our shared cultural history is to be shared and cultural history. So the thing I love about America is that the stories here are the same and so different in so many places. Immigrants who came here in the 1900s who were from where I'm from were also very similar to the immigrants of today. Same as the ones that came over other places and other times. Is all very similar. And when we gatekeep and we hold that away from other people, when we're incentivized to do so by our society, I think it really backfires on us. And to give voice and to give identity to those that are different is an incredible opportunity. And the United States government needs to reflect the population, not just those that want to be heard. So that means the good, bad, and the ugly, especially when it comes to art, because art is free. There's nothing about art that is withheld by an individual. It's held by society. So we don't allow public nudity for a reason, is that we understand its implications. And so all applauds to I'm sorry, her position?
Librarian of Congress.
The Librarian of Congress. I'm sorry.
Look at that. I mean, what a wonderful title. Wouldn't you love to be the Librarian of Congress?
Just drop that one casually. Just be like, oh yeah, I'm the librarian. What, of Congress? What? Oh, yeah. I have a Bible that's very old. They also have that flute that Lizzo played.
Which, what?
That Lizzo played. They have a flute.
Oh, yeah. The Library of Congress has all kinds of great stuff. I mean, beyond just the National Film Registry, they are an amazing institution.
It really is. Longest library in the world.
Yes. I can't imagine being a librarian.
Thank you, National Treasure.
Yeah. And also, it was funny because I think you just quoted a movie in there without realizing it, which I also think is a wonderful phenomenon. That movies have been so integrated into our society that we quote them and do things to them without even realizing it. So you said Good, Bad, and the Ugly. That's a movie,
Really?
That is a very famous movie with Clint Eastwood.
Wow.
Spaghetti Western.
Why are they called that?
Because they're made by Italians.
Of course it's
really
racist. It's racist.
They're Italian-made Westerns, and they're very good.
Oh.
Yeah. Italians know how to make movies.
Yes, they do. That was one of the best songs in 9.
Oh, I was not into that movie, 9.
I loved it. I just loved certain parts of it, I was honest. Yeah. Be Italian, and then Kate Hudson. Did you see Glass Onion?
We watched it over Christmas.
What did you think?
I thought it was good. I liked the first Knives Out better.
I liked it. I think it was a good film. I didn't like the Glass Onion, though.
The actual Glass Onion?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I was like, this is ugly.
Yeah.
And the Elon Musk guy, was a little too on the nose. It was like, yes, we get it. This is Elon Musk. We get it. Thank you. I thought they were all going to die.
I know. They should have all died, but they didn't.
Probably should have all died, except for Benoit Blanc.
I think they were trying to do something a little different and make it so they didn't all die.
Also, Janelle Monáe.
It was very good.
What a lovely little actress.
Lovely little actress.
Not little. What a lovely actress. She's an incredible woman. But I didn't know she could, do that. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was good. I prefer the first one. So I'm interested to know which directions the next films will take.
Oh, yeah. Also, what did you think of the wrestler guy? Do you think he's better or worse than The Rock?
What was his name? He was the one with the shaved head, right?
Yes, Dave Bautista, I think is his name.
Do I think he's better or worse than The Rock as far as acting?
Yeah.
Better?
I think he's better, too. And someone said that he was the best on Twitter, and I was like, wait, I think it's true, but how come The Rock's been in everything forever, and he's not good? Have I been feeding into the bad, no good taste America?
Maybe he's just hot, so people think he's good.
No, Isabel, don't say it. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
But I think a lot of wrestlers are good actors because wrestling is
just
acting. It is.
Oh yeah, same thing with football players. They're surprisingly good at it.
Yeah. I think a lot, this might get some backlash from sports people out there, but I think of a lot of athletics is acting.
They say the same thing about acting. I think a lot of acting is just like sports.
Well, to me, that just goes to show that, people aren't that different as we think we are. I think a lot of things are more related than we think. The arts and athletic world, people think they're opposite, but I don't think they're all that opposite.
Oh, not at all. I think one of the real gifts of people who use their minds in different ways, whether that be for arts, sports, exercise, you could also do it for many other tasks. Dance. I can't seem to think of any other tasks at the moment. Is we get to we have the opportunity to grow as a person because of somebody else's point of view. So a really good film does too. It really gives you the opportunity to see a different perspective. And when it's done really well, I can keep rewatching it and I can still learn new things. I rewatched the Hobbit films and Lord of the Rings twice in the past year and a half. And I learned so much about how film looks good and how it doesn't look good and when you need more or less stuff and when it makes sense, when it doesn't make sense. Very interesting.
Well, great. So I guess before we wrap up, is there anything else that you just want to add, you want to say?
Well, thank you so much for allowing this opportunity to be interviewed by you. I love the work that you're doing. I love your unique, fresh take on movies and what they can mean for people. And the work you've already done is fantastic. And I can't wait to see what's next. And everyone should be a fan because she's wonderful and she's my friend. And I want to ask you, what's your favorite movie?
Well, that could be a whole other hour we could go on, but all right, let's see.
You made me answer
I know,
it.
and I knew you were going to bring it back around at some point.
Yeah.
Well, okay. As we've said, it's hard to pick just one.
Yeah, which you have to in this moment.
In this moment, I have to pick just one?
Just one.
Well, I told you earlier you didn't have to pick just one. Now
I know, but I'm cruel.
Oh, little bitch. All right. My one favorite...
And I will eventually just say it.
Maybe Dirty Dancing in this moment.
Oh, what a good choice.
Thank you. I'll tell you why. Because it's a really feminist film. And most people don't know that.
Mine, by the way, if we had to pick one, would just be Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Fabulous.
I'm not surprised.
No one should be. With the best line ever. You look at the 4th of July. Make one a hot dog real bad.
Well, because Jennifer Coolidge is excellent.
Jennifer Coolidge, talk about women who raised me. I did not know this woman, but she knew me, and she knew what I needed to hear, which was, oh my God, you look at the 4th of July. Love her.
But yeah, probably Dirty Dancing because
Good choice.
the screenwriter, Eleanor Bergstein, really made a point to make that this is a movie about abortion.
Yeah, that did feel big. Like a major centerpiece of the story was the abortion storyline.
Yeah, it's about women's bodies and women's sexuality and women's choices. And that's a really powerful message, especially because it's wrapped up in a really pretty bow of like this really like sexy romantic story with like pretty clothes in a summer camp. And it just makes those issues very accessible. Because you're like, oh, this is such a great movie. I just love this dancing. This is just so much fun. And then you're like, whoa, I was just taught a very important lesson.
Well, no one puts baby in a corner.
No one puts baby in a corner.
And the first time I saw that, also, I kept calling her Emily Gilmore. I just kept calling her
Well, because
that.
Emily Gilmore is in it. I mean, she is the mom.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's why it's
what
so
I mean.
funny.
I go, Emily Gilmore, what are you doing here?
I know.
Get out, Emily Gilmore. And she doesn't. That horrible man.
But she is a trained dancer in real life.
I knew that.
And I love that she's in this movie and that she does a little bit of dancing at the end and she's really good.
Of course she is. Of course she is. She is a talent. She is a gift unto the world.
And her line of, I think she gets this from me, is adorable and cracks me up every time.
I love that they're carrying a giant watermelon at one point.
Yeah. I carried a watermelon. Great line.
I carried a watermelon. I brought you a watermelon. What a thing to bring to a party.
Watermelon.
I have a gigantic watermelon. Here you go. Enjoy this. It's a fun little gift for you. I got a wonderful... This has nothing to do with it now. Wait till that's...
Okay. Well, so... Let's see. 42 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Not bad. All right. So should we wrap up? Anything else you want to add?
Is there anything I should have answered that I haven't?
I think you covered my key questions.
Okay.
You've expressed to me what film means to you and what you think belongs on the NFR. So,
yeah.
Pretty good.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Well, that concludes my first interview on this blog.
I'm honored.
Thank you. I'm happy you were here.
You as well.